Good morning, everyone. We are Best in 3E, Group 1. This morning, we will going to discuss about methods to promote critical thinking among students, questioning, classroom discussion, and debate and written assignments. So, our group members are yours truly, Mr. Alagos, Miss Alhomiento, Miss Arostique, Miss Barrios, Miss Bayran, Miss Joso, Miss Cercado, Miss Cosme, Miss Kabuten, and Mr. Besas. So, the overview of our topics are, we have learning objectives, introduction, questioning as a method for critical thinking, classroom discussion, and debate as method for critical thinking, written assignments as method for critical thinking, application of methods in different subjects, and conclusions. So, the objectives of our topic are: understand the importance of critical thinking in education and its impact on students' learning and development. Explore different types of questions that can stimulate critical thinking and enhance learning outcomes. Recognize the benefits of incorporating questioning into the learning process. Recognize the importance of classroom discussion and debate in developing critical thinking skills. Understand the role of teacher in facilitating and guiding discussions to promote critical thinking. Understand the importance of written assignments in promoting critical thinking skills. Explore examples of types of written assignments that can enhance critical thinking skills among students. Recognize how questioning, classroom discussion and debate, and written assignments can be implemented in various subjects to promote critical thinking. Explore case studies and success stories of using these methods to promote critical thinking in education. Understand the importance of ongoing practice and reinforcement of critical thinking skills in education. So, the introduction of our topic: various definitions of critical thinking. First, purposeful in thinking in which individuals systematically and habitually impose criteria and intellectual standards upon their thought. A composition of skills and attitudes that involves the ability to recognize the existence of problem and to support the truthfulness of the problems. The propensity and skill to engage in an activity with reflective skepticism. The process of purposeful, self-regulatory judgment.
Tracy Bowell, 2017, in his book Critical Thinking, A Concise Guide, he emphasizes the importance of critical thinking in education, starting that it enables students to question assumptions, evaluate evidence, and reach well-reasoned decisions. Similarly, Innes 2011 argues that critical thinking is crucial for students to develop the ability to think independently and make sound decisions.
In the ever-evolving landscape of education, critical thinking has emerged as a fundamental skill that students must develop in order to succeed in academic and real-world settings. It is essential for students to be able to analyze information, make informed decisions, and solve complex problems. To promote critical thinking among students, educators can utilize various methods such as questioning, classroom discussion, and debate and written assignments. These methods not only encourage students to think critically, but also foster a deeper understanding of the material and enhance their overall learning experience. Espelland and Shanta argued that faculty who select lecture formats as a large part of their teaching strategy may be enabling students. When lecturing, the instructor organizes and presents essential information without student input. This practice eliminates the opportunity for students to decide for themselves what information is important to know. As pointed out by Claus, sometimes students are stuck and unable to understand that various answers exist for one problem. Claus stated that students must be exposed to ambiguity and multiple interpretations and perspectives of a situation or problem in order to stimulate growth. Paul and others stated that many professors may try to encourage students to learn a body of knowledge by stating that body of knowledge in a sequence of lectures and then asking students to internalize knowledge outside of class in their own time. Not all students possess the thinking skills to analyze and synthesize information without practice.
Methods for critical thinking. What is questioning? Questioning within the realm of education and critical thinking, or CT, refers to a spectrum of techniques designed to engage students in higher order cognitive processes. Effective questioning prompts learners to employ critical thinking skills such as interpretation, analysis, and recognition of assumptions to derive conclusions. It emphasizes moving beyond mere recall of factual knowledge and encourages evaluation and synthesis of information. Researchers have found that often clinical teachers ask significantly more lower-level cognitive questions than higher-level questions. Questions should be designed to promote evaluation and synthesis of facts and concepts. Higher-level thinking questions should start or end with words or phrases such as explain, compare, why, which is a solution to the problem, what is the best and why, and do you agree or disagree with the statement? The Bloom taxonomy is a hierarchy of thinking skills that ranges from simple skills such as knowledge to complex thinking such as evaluation. Depending on the initial words used in the questions, students can be challenged at different levels of cognition. Below is Table 4, examples of questions. We have 4 categories: knowledge comprehension, application analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Knowledge comprehension, its key concepts are memorization, description, explanation, and comparison. Examples of these words and/or phrases are what, when, who, define, describe, identify, state, show, how, conclude, demonstrate, rephrase, differentiate, explain, and give an example of. For application analysis, its key concepts are solution, application, induction, deduction, and logical order. Examples of these are build, construct, solve, test, demonstrate. How would you support your? What assumptions? What reasons? Does the evidence support the conclusion? What behaviors? For synthesis, its key concept is productive thinking. Its examples are think of a way, propose a plan, develop, suggest, formulate a solution. And finally, for evaluation, its key concepts are judgment and selection. So its examples are choose, evaluate, defend, decide, what is the most appropriate, and which would you consider.
Socratic questioning is defined as a type of questioning that deeply probes or explores the meaning, justification, or logical strength of claim, position, or line of reasoning. A Socratic method focuses on clarification. A student's answer to question can be followed by asking a fellow student to summarize the previous answer, because summarizing the information allows a student to demonstrate whether he or she was listening, had digested the information, and understood it enough to put it into his or her own words. Mill suggested that provocative questions should be brief and contain only 1 or 2 issues at a time for class reflection. It is also important to provide a deliberate silence or wait time for students when asking questions. Waiting at least 5 seconds allows a student to think and encourage thought. Benefits of incorporating questioning into learning process. Effective questioning serves as a catalyst for critical thinking development by prompting students to analyze information, evaluate evidence, and synthesize ideas. Engaging students in active questioning cultivates a sense of involvement and ownership in the learning process, leading to increased motivation and attentiveness. Through questioning, students learn to apply critical thinking skills to real-world scenarios, honing their ability to analyze complex problems and devise effective solutions. Questioning encourages active participation and interaction in classroom, facilitating the exchange of ideas and perspectives among students. Incorporating questioning techniques fosters a classroom culture of inquiry and reflection, where students are encouraged to explore, question, and critically evaluate ideas.
So another method in order to improve our critical thinking is through classroom discussion and debates. So through discussions, students learn to articulate their thoughts, challenge assumptions, and explore diverse perspectives, honing their ability to think critically and communicate effectively. And through debates, it provides opportunities for students to apply logic and reasoning to support their viewpoints, encouraging them to critically evaluate evidence and construct persuasive arguments.
Classroom discussion and debate. To foster meaningful discussions, instructors can employ various strategies. So for that, example is create a supportive and inclusive environment where students feel comfortable expressing their ideas. Encourage active participation by posing thought-provoking questions, eliciting diverse viewpoints, and facilitating peer-to-peer dialogue. Utilize scaffolding techniques to guide discussions, starting with simpler concepts before delving into more complex topics. Incorporate multimedia resources, real-world examples, and case studies can enrich discussion and enhance student engagement. Start by selecting relevant and debatable topics that align with learning objectives and student interests. Assign roles to students, such as affirmative and negative themes, and provide them with ample time to research and prepare their arguments. Establish clear rules and guidelines for debate, including time limits for speeches and rules of conduct. Encourage active listening and respectful discourse throughout the debate. Debrief the debate afterward, encouraging students to reflect on their performance and identify areas for improvement. So for that, engaging in debates offers valuable learning opportunities, encouraging critical thinking and communication skills among students. Effective strategies for fostering meaningful debates include selecting relevant topics, assigning roles, establishing clear rules, promoting active listening and respectful discourse, and conducting post-debate reflections. These strategies can create an engaging and inclusive environment where students learn, collaborate, and grow together.
Classroom discussion and debates can promote critical thinking. Various techniques are available. Bernstein developed the negotiation model in which students were confronted with credible but antagonistic arguments. Students were challenged to deal with the tension between the two arguments. It is thought that this tension is one of the components that drives the critical thought. Some controversial topics in psychology were brought up and talked about, like animal rights and pornography. So the students gave positive answers, and as the class went on, they said that they feel more at ease arguing both sides of the problem. In athletic training education, a negotiation model can be employed to discuss certain topics, such as the use of heat versus ice, or the use of an ultrasound versus electric stimulation in the treatment of an injury. So students could be assigned to defend the use of a certain treatment. Another strategy to promote students to seek both sides of an issue is the pro and con grids. Students create grids with the pros and cons, or advantages or disadvantages of an issue or the treatment. Debate was used to promote critical thinking in second-year medical students, and after debating, students reported improvements in literature searching, weighing risks and benefits of treatments, and making evidence-based decisions. Regardless of the teaching methods used, students should be exposed to analyzing the costs and benefits of the issues, problems, and treatments to help prepare them for real-life decision-making. Observing the reasoning skills of another person was used by Galati to promote the critical thinking. Students were paired and 4 reasoning tasks were administered. So as the tasks were administered, students were told to talk aloud through the reasoning process of their decisions. Students who were observing were to write down key phrases and statements. So in a class of evaluating injuries, the same method can be used. One student performs an evaluation while the others in the class observe, so classroom discussion can then follow. The student could also be put into pairs. One student is evaluating and the other is observing. So once the test is over, the student talk about it with each other. Daily newspaper clippings directly related to current classroom content also allow an instructor to incorporate discussion into the classroom. For example, an athlete who has been reported to have died as a result of heat illness could provide subject matter for classroom discussion or various written assignments. So such news also affords the instructor an opportunity to discuss the effective components involved. Student could be asked to step into the role of an ATC and think about the reported implications of this death from different perspectives. They could also list any assumptions made by the article or follow-up questions they would ask if they could interview the person involved. This provides a forum to inviting students to think for themselves and realize that not each person in the room perceives the article the same way. Whatever the approach taken, investigators and educators agreed that assignments and arguments are useful to promote thought among students.
So for the role of the teacher in facilitating and guiding discussions, the teacher acts as a moderators, guiding the flow of conversation, ensuring all voices are heard, and maintaining a respectful and constructive atmosphere. Teachers can employ active listening techniques to validate student contributions and ask probing questions to deepen understanding. Teachers should encourage critical inquiry, challenge misconceptions, and provide feedback to scaffold students' thinking processly effectively. So example for that is making sure that everyone has a chance to speak up and share their thoughts. Teachers do the same, ensuring that every voice, regardless of its volume or tone, finds its place in the dialogue. This fosters a sense of belonging and respect among students. Thank you.
Written assignments. Assignments completed both in and outside of class can be effective tools to assist students think more deeply. According to EMIG, having students write has a distinctive educational benefit, since writing, both as a process and the final product, has a set of characteristics that are correspond uniquely to some effective teaching methods. Assignments meant to stimulate thinking should, in general, be brief. Long-term papers are not the best format and focus on the thinking process. Importance of written assignments in promoting critical thinking. First, using explicit reasoning to build arguments. The students have to lay out the arguments in detail, providing logic and evidence to support each point they make. This process strengthens the students' ability to think critically by forcing them to be clear and consistent in their thinking. Next is evaluating evidence and identifying fallacies. Students gain the ability to evaluate the reliability of sources, distinguish between strong and weak evidence, and recognize logical fallacies in both their own and other people's arguments. Organize structure and recognizing biases. Writing has a logical format that requires for students to arrange their ideas and create a strong argument. Through this process, possible biases in the student's own thinking are found and addressed. Individuals gain the ability to foresee objections and articulate their ideas in a way that respects different opinions. Precise communication of complex ideas. Through this process, students are forced to dissect concepts into smaller parts, consider how those parts relate to one another, and then clearly and succinctly present their ideas. This enhances the student's capacity to comprehend and communicate difficult ideas, which in turn strengthens their critical thinking.
Letter B. Examples of types of written assignments that can enhance critical thinking skills. First, case studies. Allegra T. and Frederick used a variety of cases from a book to promote CT regarding different ethical issues. Countless case study situations can be created to allow students to practice managing situations and assess clinical decision making. For example, after reading the National Athletic Trainers Association position statement on lighting, a student can be asked to address the following scenario. Explain how you would handle a situation in which a coach has kept athletes outside practicing unsafely. What information would you use from this statement to explain your concerns? Explain why you picked the specific concerns. Another example is personification. Lanson makers used personification and assigned students to assume the character of a drug. Students were to relate themselves to the drug in the belief that drugs exhibit many unique characteristics such as belonging to a family, interaction problems, adverse reactions, and so forth. The development of analogies comes from the experience in comparing one theory or scenario to another with strong similarity. And the last example is poems. The focus of this type of homework activity should be on reviewing content creatively. The lines of the poem need not to rhyme as long as appropriate content is explained in the poem. Students should understand that the focus of the assignment is a creative review of the material and not a test for their poetic qualities. For example, a poem on the niche could be required to include signs, symptoms, and anatomical content of one injury or various injuries. A poem on head injuries could focus on the different types of history questions that should be asked. Letter C is the tips for designing effective written assignments to promote critical thinking. Number 1, align the assignment with core learning objectives for your course. Number 2, be explicit about the rhetorical situation for the assignment. Number 3, provide clear details about the stages, deadlines, and grading guidelines. Number 4, be attentive to how and when the assignment fits in your course. Number 5, design the task with an authentic scenario, problem-solving situations, or inquiry questions in mind, rather than a topic. Number 6, utilize students' questions and suggestions to improve the assignment. Number 7, provide templates, formulas, and schemas judiciously. Number 8, avoid counterproductive clarification.
Application of method in different subjects. Questioning. Teacher can encourage critical thinking in students by asking questions. They can ask insightful questions on deductive reasoning, logical fallacies, and problem-solving strategies. For example, they can require students to evaluate the validity of logical syllogisms or spot erroneous arguments in real-world situations. Instructors can use questionings to promote critical thinking in clinical decision-making scenarios. They might ask students to analyze patient case studies, identify spiritual nursing intervention, and justify their actions based on evidence-based practice and clinical reasoning. Instructors can use questioning to experimental health concept, therapeutic interventions, and psychiatric nursing assessment. Students may be asked to analyze psychiatric case studies, identify risk factors for mental illness, and evaluate therapeutic communication technique. Discussions and debate. Facilitating discussion on current healthcare policies or ethical dilemmas in patient care can promote critical thinking among students. Debates on controversial medical topics such as organ transplantations or healthcare disparities can encourage students to consider multiple perspectives and develop reasoned arguments. Classroom discussion can focus on current healthcare issues, ethical dilemmas in nursing practice, or controversies in medical surgical care. Debates may revolve around topics such as healthcare policy reforms, patient advocacy, or the use of advanced medical technologies in nursing care. This discussion encourages students to critically evaluate healthcare practice and develop informed perspective. In psychiatric nursing, organizing debates on treatment approach or societal attitude towards mental illness can deepen students' understanding of psychiatric concept and enhance their ability to critically evaluate different interventions. And for the written assignments, assignment argumentative essay where students analyzed and critique logical arguments presented in academic articles in public debates. Require reflection papers where students evaluate their own thinking process and identify areas of improvement in logical reasoning. Assign case studies for written analysis requiring students to apply critical thinking skills to assess patient data, identify nursing diagnosis, and develop comprehensive care plans. Assign reflective essay where the students explore their personal biases and attitude towards mental health and psychiatric nursing and develop strategies for promoting empathy and understanding.
Next, the Journal of Philosophy of Education published a research article by Smith 2019 which examined the role of classroom discussions in promoting critical thinking in philosophy courses. the study emphasizes the importance of dialogue, questioning, and active engagement in cultivating students' analytical skills and philosophical understanding. Similarly, in the Journal of Social Studies Research, a study by Smith et al. 2017 underscores the benefits of debates in social studies education. The research found that participating in debates enhances the students' critical thinking skills, promotes active learning, and fosters a deeper understanding of historical events and societal issues. Both studies highlight the significance of interactive and participatory approaches in education for developing students' critical thinking abilities and deepening their comprehension of complex subjects. Next, a meta-analysis by Hand et al. 2018 that emphasizes the value of writing arguments in science education was published in the International Journal of Science Education. According to the study, writing assignments help students develop their critical thinking skills by requiring them to analyze sources, express their thoughts clearly, and create well-organized arguments.
For the conclusion, regardless of the methods used to promote critical thinking, care must be taken to consider the many factors that may inhibit a student from thinking critically. Students should be encouraged to be inquisitive, ask questions, and not believe and accept everything they are told. Faculty should be aware of their core goals and learning objectives. If these goals and objectives are stated as higher order thought outcomes, then activities that promote critical thinking should be included in classroom activities and assignments. These learning tactics can be modified and applied to encourage critical thinking and active involvement, even though they are not suitable for all subjects and classroom settings. By fostering critical thinking, questioning assumptions, and analytical reflection, these teaching strategies enable students to gain the critical thinking, information gathering, and decision-making skills that are necessary for success in the classroom and beyond.